Welcome to Destination Deanna. I'm Deanna, love guide to all and kept wife strategist to the women I'm called to serve. Please consider my channel your self-help learning library for love. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time for our weekly coaching gem, where I give guidance to elevate your love experience. And on Wednesdays at 1 p.m., tune in for Sounds About Wife, where I give my unique wife perspective and prepare professional women like you to become kept wives. So hit that subscribe button and let's start this love journey together. See you soon, my loves. Hello. Welcome to season 2, episode 11 of Sounds About Wife. And this is our final episode of the year 2025. And it's the final episode of this season. I'm going to be back with season 3 in January, the first week of January. Slightly different format, same zhuzh. Right? So today's lesson is 25 life lessons that changed me in 2025. So here's what's really going on, right? I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but 2025 didn't just grow me, it actually evolved me. And when I say evolved, I mean it stretched me, it refined me, it humbled me, and it prepared me in ways that reshaped everything about how I move as a wife, a mother, a guide, a businesswoman, and a woman with a calling. So this episode is not like a highlight reel. It's not going to be all beautiful things, right? It's not a list of things that I taught women this year, which is usually what I do. This is actually what I lived through this year. These are the moments where God used circumstances, situations, people to shape me when no one was watching. Well, y'all might have been watching. Sometimes it's hard to miss. But these are the 25 life lessons that changed me in 2025. So if you're new here, I welcome you to Sounds About Wife. This is where we talk about the mindset, the identity, and the relational wealth required to experience love that actually inspires, enhances, and sustains you. I'm Deanna, also known as the Kept Wife Strategist, a relational wealth advocate, right? And I guide women who are not currently experiencing the love the way they desire, but are ready to be prepared for something better, right? So a scripture that comes to mind that literally was one that kept coming up all year is Luke 12:48. To whom much is given, much will be required. And I feel like this is the verse that kind of summarized 2025 for me. It guided everything. It held my tongue. It shaped my decisions. It refined my boundaries. It reminded me that elevation demands stewardship, right? And stewardship demands maturity. So it doesn't matter how much you know, you can always know more. How much you've grown, you can always grow more. And that was my season this year. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Lesson number 1, elevation requires pruning, even good branches. Okay. So this year, I actually had to let go of offerings, clients, and habits that were working, right? They were working. It's not that they were bad. And that's what I mean by good branches, but simply because they no longer aligned with where God was taking me. And how does this lesson apply to you? What is going on in your life where it's not necessarily bad? It's not something that isn't working, but who you're becoming requires you to be more, have more, do more, ascend. And what you're currently experiencing, holding on to, all of those things don't fit where you're going. That's one of the lessons that I learned this year. Number 2, God expands capacity before visibility. Let me know if I'm the only one, whether you are a coach, a business owner, whatever. You want to be seen. We all want to be seen. And specifically with the work that I'm doing, I want to be seen by as many women as possible. Doesn't mean I want to work with all of them. You know how I feel about that. Like, I'm only called to the chosen few and I'm good with that. But in order to get to them, I want to be seen by as many women as possible. I want to expose as many women as possible to captivity. Okay. But God showed me this year that your capacity actually expands before. So you have to be stretched before you actually get the spotlight, right? And your capacity is actually built in private so that when you become more public, more people get to know you, you can steward way better, right? Number 3, big investments reshaped my identity, not my wallet. I stretched myself this year and made some really big investments. And obviously there's like sticker shock first, right? For the amount. And it's like you start thinking back to a time where you couldn't even imagine investing at this level in yourself. And now it's like, well, every year you're being called to invest more. And sometimes the more doesn't necessarily have a dollar amount, but this year it did, right? So every major yes that I made this year, it demanded that I become the woman who could hold it, right? So the different rooms I was in, I had to become the woman comfortable in those rooms, right? It wasn't, and this is what I found, it wasn't necessarily about the transaction, but it was about the transformation. The transaction is like sticker shock. That's kind of, you get over that. But when you start to see that it's actually attached to the bigger transformation, the more lasting transformation, like there has to be an equal investment, right? I had to actually rise into these decisions that my past self would have shrunk, would have said no, would have not done it at all, right? So this was a big lesson for me. Oh, my honey. Hi, baby. I'm going to give you a call after. We've been missing each other. Hey, one of my captives, listen, the investments hit home. Come on now. Number 4, discernment in business protected my marriage. I said no to projects, containers, coaching spaces, trips, all of the above. The things I said no to that would have been compromising my peace, right? There's a certain rhythm of my home, of my marriage that I don't compromise for anything. It doesn't matter the dollar amount. It doesn't matter the opportunity. It's like this comes before my business success. Because ultimately, success is not success to me if my home is unstable. And that was something that I learned this year by saying no, by not doing everything I wanted to do, by not just focusing so much on my business. It's like I had to come to terms with, yeah, but when I'm growing and I'm not spending time with my husband, when I'm getting new clients, but my kids are like, Mommy, we miss you. Like, what? That's not success to me. So that was a lesson that I learned. Discernment in my business protected my marriage and my home. Number 5. And look at this. I didn't even do this on purpose, honey. But number 5, my husband's favorite number is 5. My husband's peace became a decision filter for me, right? When you're in a partnership, like, it requires your sensitivity, not just performance of things, right? So if there were things that would disturb the harmony with my husband, I decided that wasn't in alignment with me. So this, takes the lesson a little bit further, right? My husband's peace. I'm so blessed that he supports everything that I do and he never tells me no. But God showed me this year that it's up to me to say no, to make sure that his needs are met. Right. And I believe I had a slightly happier husband this year. We're about to celebrate 3 years married, and it still feels like the honeymoon. Right. Number 6, my visibility became strategic, not performative. Now, don't get it twisted. I am never the performative type, but there were certainly points and times where I was showing up just because I felt I had to. If I don't do this, it'll mean this. If I don't show up like this, I won't get more clients. If I don't do this, and that's what I mean by performative, right? The lesson would always be great. Obviously, I'm going to put my heart into it, but it became very clear to me that for my business to grow without it damaging or harming my home life, I had to be more strategic. That became very clear this year, right? So I learned to also hold certain victories close. Not everything needed to be shared in order for it to be significant. And that was a big deal for me. I almost felt obligated, like, because I share this journey, I got to share everything, all the wins, everything I'm going to, every person I'm in contact with, every person that I've helped. I was sharing everything. And this year, it became very clear to me that my visibility needed to be more strategic. Yes, my baby, keeping the honey in the moon. That's for us. Number 7, my conviction had to be strengthened, right? So the more that I anchored myself in my unique calling, my unique niche, the unique way in which I am called to serve women, the more I strengthen that conviction, the better. And specifically, I learned to hear feedback without offense, right? I learned to receive correction without insecurity. Like, just because someone is correcting something, it doesn't mean I'm still not this powerhouse. Just because someone has feedback about this doesn't mean I have to burn down everything and do this again, right? I also learned to ignore commentary that wasn't rooted in alignment. People can see what I'm doing and they can give commentary, they can give advice, they can give all the things based on who they are and what they are doing. And they could mean well. They could love me and want me to grow and all the things, but only I have the understanding of my calling. And I became way more anchored and convicted in my conviction of that. And it allowed me to grow in a way. Number 8, revelation did not always mean release. So God showed me things that he did not want me to announce or share. And again, coming from a person that does really personal work, right? My clients, they're in very close proximity. We do life and love together. So because of that, sometimes I can feel the obligation to share. And this year, God specifically showed me a lot of things, gave me a lot of new revelations. And I was not led to share them. They were just for me. They were for my understanding. They were for my deep work. They were for the things I was creating, right? Not everything he revealed is meant for teaching either, right? Some things were meant more for my own movement, my own refinement, and my own preparation. I learned through this process, like some of the things my clients weren't ready for. And the proof was in the pudding that this year they were coming back to me about things I taught them last year. Right. And I'm still feeding. And sometimes you have to give things time to digest. Right. You don't just keep filling your mouth with food. You got to eat it, digest it, have your secretions, turn things into protein and energy and all the things. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but you know what I'm saying, right? Number 9, I shifted from perpetual learning to implementation, right? There was less collecting information. Oh, I was good for that. I was good for reading the books, watching the videos, going to every training, getting in every week that a coach was doing, like collecting all the information, having lots and lots of notebooks, right? This was my year of implementing. And I believe I'm continuing that into 2026, right? There was more embodying this year, right? More embodying what I already know God gave me. I did not have to learn anymore. I needed to embody more. Number 10, saying no became obedience. Saying no. I realized how difficult that was for me. And I did not think I had areas. I didn't think I needed to grow in this particular area, right? I know myself pretty well. I don't always feel obligated to people, like all the things, but God showed me so many ways in which I wasn't saying no. And I needed to, right? So I started to see saying no to things that weren't in alignment with my calling, with the work I'm supposed to be doing, how that was actually me showing God I'm being obedient to the call. What did my honey say? One of my favorite sayings, sometimes we have to stop assessing and start addressing. Come on, baby, that's good. Number 10. Oh, I'm sorry, I just did number 10. 11. Glitter and fruit are not the same. They're not the same. Discernment this year kept me out of a lot of pretty traps. There's a lot of things that look good. They look like they're going to help. They look like they're going to grow you. They look like they're going to advance you. And I exercised way more discernment this year about where I was going to put my energy, where I was going to put my name and my brand, things I was going to join, people I was going to align with, right? I was focused on fruit. Let me see your fruit. What is the fruit of this? Not what looks good, not the glitter. Number 12. Yeah. Ooh, baby, you liking this one? Okay. Number 12. Trusting God became a new depth. So clearly, God is at the center of my marriage. I believe this year, I really moved towards God being the center of my business. Now, that does not mean I'm a Christian coach. For one, I don't even identify as Christian. I am a disciple of Christ. I use the Bible as my guide. But this year, I spent way more time getting in the word and seeing what God said about certain things. I spent way more time praying. and seeking clarity. I spent way more time with that. And I was actually called to trust God in a different way this year because there were financial tests, there were relational tests, there were decision tests, right? And every one of them required more surrender from me, not strategy, which is what I'm good at. I'm good at strategizing, thus the kept wife strategist, right? I'm good at that. But this year I was called to surrender that to God. Number 13, access to me is stewardship. I got way more selective this year, right? Selective about who was going to be in close proximity with me. Prior to this year, this is so transparent. I can't believe I'm saying this. Prior to this year, I felt like, well, if a woman finds me and she identifies with me and she can afford to pay my rates, like clearly I'm called to help her. Right? Makes sense, right? She found me, she can pay, she wants the help, she identifies, boom. God showed me how this year, because of the way I serve, because of how much of myself I give to my clients, how much I share of my actual life, not the curated one, right? Not just the clips that look good on Instagram, not just my little shorts and my moments, because those are still doctored as well. I show you what I want to show you. But when you are in close proximity with me, I feel called to be bare, right? I want you to have the level of vulnerability that can only be achieved when it's modeled. And because of that, everyone can't be in close proximity with me. And this year it hit home. My proximity became selective, right? Also with people helping in my business. Not everyone is meant to hold my heart or my vision. I got way more selective about who I would let see behind the scenes, who I would share my steps with, more of my future and my vision. Yes. Listen, surrender. I don't like to claim hard, but I will say it is absolutely challenging. It's absolutely challenging, but it's so rewarding when you do it, right? And it takes the pressure off of you. It's like allowing God to prove himself. God's not a man that he should lie, right? If we actually have faith in that, we should allow God to show himself approved, right? Number 14. My confidence had to rise to hold the women of God. I'm sorry. My confidence had to rise to hold the women God is now sending. My confidence had to rise to hold the women God is now sending. What do I mean by that? I've never struggled with confidence. I've always felt confident that I'm beautiful. I've always felt confident that I'm smart. I've always felt confident that I am creative, that I am called, that I'm one of God's favorite. That's already, you know what I'm saying, it's baked into the cake. Okay? But when it comes to serving God's people, that is a huge responsibility that I do not take lightly. Now, I'm confident in my experience. I'm confident in what I've learned. I'm confident in my skills. But God was sending me women that were not beginners. They were not beginners. So beginner level covering and mentorship was not going to cut it. Right? I'm elevating as a businesswoman. Prices are tripling. You know, the level of serving is different. All the things had to elevate. So my confidence did, right? God required me to show up from my anointing, not people pleasing, not obligation, not being afraid of what saying something might make someone feel. When God gave me something to say, I said it. When God told me to be quiet, I was. And my level of confidence in my relationship with God really grew and strengthened this year. My confidence rose. Yep. Come on now. Implementation. Who has access to you? That's what I'm going through. The mirroring of your clients. I do not get clients who are beginners in their journey. Absolutely. That was one of the things that I confessed last year. I was like, I don't want to do beginner. I'm not at the beginner level. When I was, it was fine. But I truly believe if you are called to do this work, your clients are going to evolve also. You will just always be a few steps ahead of them so that you can look back, grab their hand, and walk with them, right? You should not be so far ahead because then you're too distant from their feelings. You're too distant from their experience. It has to be that you're just a little ahead of them. So you still understand how it feels. You still can relate to that, right? You can still empathize, but you're out of it. You've been out of it long enough. You know how to tell them how to get out, right? Number 15, that brings me to leadership no longer meant over functioning, right? I stopped carrying what women needed to learn to carry for themselves. I stopped just giving the answers, right? I stopped laying it all out. I got better at asking questions. I got better at saying the things that would lead the women to their own understanding, right? So my leadership no longer was feeling like I always had to have the answer. Instead of, what do you think about that? Haven't we talked about this before? Redirecting, asking questions to get them to think differently. Number 16, femininity. My femininity deepened through body stewardship. So loving my body instead of, I'm getting emotional. Loving my body instead of punishing it brought me home to myself, right? I have had, I'm being very careful about my words. I have had difficulties with physical weight for the majority of my life. I've done a lot of things, dieting, starvation, fasting, all the things. And what year is this? 2025. So 6 years ago, it got to the point that I was 100 pounds overweight. I had a thyroid issue and I needed medical assistance to get some of the weight off. And I had gastric bypass. And it has been a journey since then. Like that tool did help me get a good portion of the weight off. I'm still not ideally where I want to be, but I know I'm going to be there. I know I'm on my way there. And this year, I worked on just loving my body as is, loving myself and accepting myself and doing things from a place of love and not punishment, right? Choosing foods that would nourish my body, focusing on rest and hydration and keeping my stress down, right? So all things that are anchored in femininity, allowing, right? Being soft, relaxing, resting. Yeah. Number 17. Yeah, thank you so much. Number 17, my children grew watching me rest, not just perform. One of the most beautiful things about this year is my children started to embrace resting, right? We've been celebrating Sabbath for a few years, but this year, the kids really got it. Like to the point that if I would ask them to do stuff, they'd be like, Mommy, it's Sabbath. Mommy, it's Sabbath. Like, we'll do it tomorrow. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. So as I was becoming more soft, it became a part of my mothering, how I talked to them, how I handled frustration with them became different. And that just was a beautiful lesson. 18, my marriage expanded when I further stepped out of survival mode. So here's the thing, right? You do all these things to manifest love, right? Be the wife, you want to get married, all the things. Okay, I did all that, right? And I have the amazing husband. But now I'm his wife. I'm not a wife, I'm his wife. And that's a whole process in itself of learning him, learning his needs, how he communicates, how he likes things, how he prefers things, right? That's a journey. And becoming one with him is a journey. But this year, I really let my husband lead in ways that I once tried to control. I really gave up a lot of control this year. And we had trying times this year, financially, just like no issues, but just lifing. And if it's one thing I know for sure, it's when life is lifing, that is when you usually go back to your default, right? And fortunately for me, I've been doing this work and the work to make feminine my default. But I've had another default way longer. So when difficulties arise, when challenges happen, when things that bring about fear, my old defaults will try to spring back up. And I'm so proud of myself because the lesson was remaining out of survival mode and really just allowing my husband to lead in those ways that I used to control. Number 19, devotion showed up in quiet moments, right? In quiet moments and just small observances that my husband made, compliments he gave me. I saw his devotion to me and our family through those quiet things, not the huge gestures that I love, by the way. But I paid more attention to the smaller, quiet moments this year. Which brings me to number 12. Silence became strategy for me this year. Oh, I probably have a long list of things that I thought, felt, typed that I did not say. I did not share. I deleted them. I kept it in there. I realized that pulling away from certain commentary isn't hiding. Sometimes it's actually preserving your mantle, right? Thinking about whether or not something actually deserves your energy and your output. One of my closest friends, I considered her a sister. She passed a few years back, my sister Ruby. One of the things that she used to say, and it sticks with me to this day, she said, "Why speak if you're not improving the silence?" So now I think about that daily. Is what I'm about to say going to improve the silence? If not, I'm remaining silent, right? 21, luxury became defined by choice, not cost. Listen, I likes a coin. Okay. I like money. I like expensive things. I like expensive experiences. But this year, the lesson I had was the ultimate luxury is choice. Being able to choose whether or not you want something, being able to choose, having the gift of choice, right? The freedom to choose my pace, right? To choose when I want to show up, to choose how I'm going to govern myself, how I'm going to run my business, because my business doesn't fund my life, right? That's an ultimate luxury. And just seeing that more clearly. 22. My leadership softened. I believe I used to really operate from a place of like tough love. You need tough love, right? Because that's what I got a lot of the times. I would get tough love. And that was showing up in how I was leading. Now, I do believe that people need firm boundaries and they need to see that in their leader. But this year, I really learned that my story and my life were ministry. I didn't have to beat lessons into people's heads, right? And I realized that women didn't need more steps, more to-dos. They needed more evidence. They needed to see me walking it out, living the life and sharing from that. And that allowed me to have a more softened leadership. 23. I already knew this, but God took this lesson to a new level. My calling is not for the masses. And I'm going to admit something to you all. I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be. I wanted my calling to be for millions and I be the number one relationship coach. I'm on every show, I wanted that. That was my fleshly self, my human self. I wanted that until this year. And I saw the beauty in exclusivity. I saw the beauty in working with clients who are aligned with you, who feel more like family than clients. And I realized that's the work that lights me up. It lights me up when I can share my husband with my community. Not, well, I don't know if I can give them that much access. I can't trust that. And things getting all out of control. I love doing life with my clients. I love the close proximity and the exclusivity. And God showed me that my calling is more aligned to that. And this is a continual lesson because God is showing me how to structure the business so that it grows without challenging that belief, like, well, I need it to be the masses for it to be successful. 24. God's timing proved more protective than my plans. Let me say that again. God's timing proved more protective than my plans. God's not yet oftentimes was saving me from spiritual and financial leaks, from missteps, from misalignment. And this year, I was able to see it quickly. Like, not every lesson happens quickly. Like, you don't always get the particular download or revelation like immediately after something happens. But God was gracing me this year to show me things quickly. And I was very quickly seeing like, Oh, God stopped that because that would have stopped this. Oh, okay. I wasn't able to do this because it would have stopped this. And this is greater, right? So I really was anchored in the fact that God's timing was proving to be protection and was better than my plans. Now, number 5, and this is my final lesson. This went a little longer than I thought, but I had to give it what it needed to be gave. 25, stewardship became my definition of being kept. So, stewarding my home, my marriage, my voice, my calling, my body, and the women God assigns to me. That is what it means to be kept. Stewarding all of that, right? First being kept by God, then kept by my husband, then keeping myself, the stewardship of all those things. So, ladies, in closing, this year matured me a lot. It stretched me in very uncomfortable ways. It refined me in some areas where I needed some polish. It tested me in ways that I needed to be fortified and needed to be more confident. And it totally confirmed for me the path that I'm on. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited. If I were to summarize it all up, I would say, and this is what you can take, right? You do not become a kept wife through aesthetics. You don't. You become her through stewardship, identity, obedience, and release. And that's exactly what the end of this year is inviting you to. Now, if you are new here, maybe you've never heard of this, but every year for the past, this will be my 4th one, I do a virtual release ceremony. It is a live virtual event where I walk you through releasing 2025, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things, so that you can make space for what 2026 has in store for you. Now, I closed registration on the 14th, right? Because I do certain work to prep for the release. My daughter makes a little poster board with everybody's names so that my family can pray for everyone that's coming. Like, it's a thing. But God put it on my heart today to reopen registration. So I'm going to put the link in the description of this video for it's a free virtual event. It is my community service, my gift to you, right? For following, even if you just came today, like, I'm thankful for you. And this is my gift to you. Come. It is on December 18th, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to leave the registration open for one more day. If you feel called to be in community with me, right? You feel like I can lead you based on what you've heard, based on what you've seen, based on what I've shown, right? I invite you to come and experience my favorite event of the year, the release ceremony. So I invite you to come. Now, if you already know, like, Dion, I've been following you. I'm here. I'm on your channel. I'm checking in. If you already know you want to work with me, let me tell you this now. This is not scared tactics or anything like that. I've already told you I ain't called to everybody, right? I'm called to the few, the chosen few. But if you know you are in that number, you need to join my Kepti Academy before the 20th. Because right now, the monthly rate for the Kepti Academy is the lowest it will ever be. It is an introductory founder rate. I have never done anything at this minimum amount, right? So take advantage and join the Kepti Academy and spend 2026 either creating or strengthening your foundation for the love you desire to experience. Okay. I will leave both of those links in the description of this video. And keep becoming the woman your future is praying for, right? Make sure that you keep it kept. I will see you either tomorrow in the release ceremony, the following day in the Kepti Academy, or back here for Sounds About Wife in the new year, 2026. All right. I love you all. Have a great day.